Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle.
And we're live. It's another Monday. Cheers.
That wine in our glass, settled on the couch.
Cheers, Marika.
Cheers to Ian.
Wow.
Cheers to everyone in the audience.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers out there.
Don't you love this job?
That's a great job.
You get to hang out, drink wine, spend time with your friends, although a little one way, except for the types of discourse back and forth. Everybody drinking something, probably.
I hope so. Yeah.
What are we drinking out there today? Let us know. And while you're typing in what you're drinking,
Right in, isn't
we're going to jump right in. We're going to get this out of the way so you can just be free and say whatever you want.
Isn't that what we do? We just get off on a different subject.
Oh, but it's just makes it so hard. You should just let it be done, right? There you go. That's hard to believe that that's actually happening. But anyway, folks, if you can believe it, if you are joining us for the very first time for our live broadcast, thank you. And we would love it if you would like and share our broadcast with your friends and family and anybody else that you think might be interested in it. Also, if you're joining us for the first time, we'd love it if you'd let us know that you're here. Write a comment in the comment section, say hello, or if you have any questions, please ask your questions and we'll answer them online or during this conversation. If we can't get to all your questions during the conversation, we will answer them after the show is over. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, right under Marika's feet over here would be a place where you could subscribe. Yeah, really, it is down there, Chuck, I swear. And if you're on Facebook, there's a little bell on your screen and you can subscribe on the bell. If you subscribe to our channel, you will get notified every time we go live, which is every Monday at 5:30, and occasionally from some far corner of the earth on a ski slope or in the ocean or somewhere else. So if you want to learn about and follow the goings on of the hermits at Hermit Woods, that's how you do it. Subscribe to our channel. So thank you all for being here.
Sort of counterintuitive to being a hermit, putting all this stuff out in the broadcast.
Quite counterintuitive, yes.
You would think it would be reclusive.
Yes.
Well,
I'm reading that book
you're
about
not
the
the
hermit
most-
in Maine.
Oh,
Did you read that? The guy?
Oh, yes. It's a great book.
Yeah.
It's an awesome book.
It's really
If you haven't read that,
fantastic.
yeah.
I have too large of a pile of books to read at home, but when you finish, you might want to borrow that.
Yeah.
I think I read.
No, I'm
really
reading
one-
it. I'm reading it on my Kindle from the
Oh,
library.
okay.
So.
You know, this,
Check it out, library.
I love that book, but it kills me because I have on my email, they get an alert every time Hermit is mentioned on Google. And so after that book came out for for like a
Or
year.
after he was caught.
I would get 3 or
2016
yeah, no,
2017,
and
whatever it was.
well, yeah, and I
It was
just
lit up.
constantly getting notifications, Hermit Woods, Hermit Woods, Hermit Woods, and it was all about this guy in Maine. So I had to read the book, of course. But
This is the guy that got relocated or
no, when he was in his late teens or early 20s, he decided to go off into the woods. He found a spot in the woods of Maine that he felt comfortable with, and he pitched camp, and he lived there for 25
27
years, 27 years.
Wow.
And he successfully did it without being known. And he would pilfer goods like batteries and some food. And
Little ponds and little
so for a long time, for many years, people would be noticing things missing, and it was just a nuisance. But that nuisance over the years, people started saying, there's a pattern here. There's a lot of nuisances. We all started talking and realizing that our flashlights are missing. And
he realized, if you just go and try to live in the woods in Maine, you go hungry really fast. He thought he would forage,
Yeah. Oh, right.
and eat a few things. But the berries happen for a little while, and you get scratched up, and you have this high sugar intake and no wine, and then that's it. And he didn't have any way of hunting easily. He ate some roadkill, which made him sick.
Oh.
And then he realized he could forage from other people.
yes, which he did for years until enough people started getting wind of what was going on, and they started trying to set traps for him, set cameras, but he avoided those cameras for many years, and finally enough energy and effort when the homeowners put enough energy and effort into it, and they finally busted him in the act.
Some new high-tech things, which is really common now, where you put these little detectors and the Wi-Fi knows when a window is open or a door is open. And there was this one main camp that he would go to a lot, and this new technology was coming out in 2016 or 2017, and they put them, and the sheriff who lived nearby had rehearsed going in there to the camp so that the guy wouldn't detect him coming, and he'd practiced that.
Oh my God.
So he could actually catch the guy.
Wow. What's the title of the book? Do you remember?
No, but I can look it up for you.
I bet if you Google.
If you Googled the hermit in Maine, you will find it 100% for sure.
First of all,
And will you
hermits
get a
like
notification?
our hermit, or
And I'll get a notification when you do.
They
There's
talk
one in the
about there's 3
Adirondacks
types
too.
of hermits.
People that actually they go off in the woods and they create a farm and they hunt and they are completely self-sustaining without having to steal from other people. And
Our hermit didn't steal from anybody. But he wasn't completely.
We don't know that actually for
Yeah, that's
sure.
just-
Yeah, we don't know about Joseph
Yeah.
Plummer.
Well, we know a
right
little
over here.
bit. There's a whole story about him in the library.
Yeah.
He did some
So-
pretty inappropriate things, though, like trying to get.
Well, the mayor's daughter or something was pretty. There
I
was
think
something.
he just didn't have the social skills.
He
He
didn't,
didn't understand.
He was a little
what-
lacking in social skills. Let's put it that way.
He had some friends though, man. His gravestone is pretty nicely set up for a hermit,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? He's got his own cemetery, his own stone wall built around it,
Yeah.
a 4-foot-high headstone in the 1800s. That thing cost some money back then.
Yeah.
He was and flowers were on his grave the first time we discovered him. Remember that? Plastic flowers, but nonetheless flowers.
They last
Yeah.
longer.
Hmm.
So what am-
So is this show about hermits? Is that
Yeah, I
what?
think this
is
is
that
No,
well,
this
this is.
Didn't we say it was some? It's about what is it about? Oh,
Wine.
wine.
Fine.
I've already heard people in the audience are drinking all sorts of different things. We got some Winnie Rosé at the Nets.
Excellent.
Sour port.
Cheers to the Jeanettes.
Crystal made it home in time to tune in. She's opened a
Hi,
bottle of
Crystal.
blackberry mead.
Nice.
Priscilla's got some butter Chardonnay. And Christine did her research ahead of time. Christine is drinking Northern Berry Red tonight.
Oh, good for you, Christine.
Homework.
Cheers to that.
Wow.
So
How did somebody know what we were going to talk about? Is that possible?
there is
We were on
advance
top of
notice.
it.
We've got
What?
some good social media
I
going
went to
on.
work
I did
tell
not
you,
know that.
I see more
Wow.
posts coming out now. It's just great. Like, there's
Holy
so much
fucking
great
Lord.
stuff. Bob putting out nonstop info. There's so much going on.
I know. We have a team now. We have a whole team. We have a crack
These
team.
sort of slow months, and now we've got.
Now I'm looking forward to summer so we can relax a little
Yeah, I
bit.
think so.
Oh my goodness. So,
Drink wine and beer.
so Northern Berry Red is the theme for tonight, but that's not what's in our glass.
That's
Is it?
not what's in this glass.
No. So what is in this glass? What are we drinking?
It smells like wine.
It's-
We established this earlier.
That's good. 'Cause-
So years ago, I'll give you a little preamble here, background to it. Years ago.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, before you do
You're
that,
gonna try to derail me, and this is how he gets back. I know.
Oh, well,
It's
are you
fine.
going to
Go
talk
ahead.
about what's in front of us?
I can't help it.
Last very long.
It's not going to last long enough then.
Let's just make sure this is a intermission.
It's it's the advertisement
This is
section
the advertisement.
for a commercial break.
This
603 charcuterie.
is not a
Tell us
hardwood
about
board.
it. Yeah.
This is a 603 charcuterie board. So we had another class here last night from 603 charcuterie. It's got to be the maybe fifth one we've done. We've been doing one every few months for the past year or so, and they're great classes. They always sell out. They bring a few people in, and everybody gets a board. And your ticket can be for 1 or 2 people. It's up to you, but it comes with 2 drink tickets, so you can have some wine alongside your board while you're building it. And they kind of walk you through where to put everything and how to cut the.
And does the board go home with you at the end?
Yeah.
If you want, they can wrap it up for you. And then, but if you want, you can also stick around for a little while after the class is done and eat it and enjoy some more wine.
But the board actually goes home.
But yeah, you get to keep that nice wooden
You
board.
just said you could eat it.
You can eat the board.
eat
You could
the things
try.
on the board.
Good luck.
But the one thing that's
We'll slice it
really
up for
great
you.
about this.
Get the
this
skill
group-
saw. Sorry.
saw.
I'm sorry.
They, like us, 603 Charcuterie is really great about sourcing locally. So not everything on the board, but most of the products on the board are from New Hampshire companies. The cheese is from Bell and Goose. The meat is from Short Creek Farm in Northwood. We've got the nuts are from White Mountain Munchies. The the pepper jelly is a different pepper jelly than the one we've got here, but it is another New Hampshire company from Smokin' Tin Roof. And then they've also got 2 that we feature here at Herman Woods all the time. That blueberry jam is from Laurel Hill. And we've got our Laurel Hill wine jellies. And then the mustard is a Blackwater mustard. That's one of the ones we don't carry, actually. It's the Polish Steven Cybulski's something, it's hard to pronounce, mustard.
So is this board, this isn't exactly how it would look like as you assemble it in the
Not
class.
No, I did
Yeah.
the rush.
Yeah,
rush
yeah.
order.
This is a version that you put together. So you'll get instruction in the class how to assemble this in a nice way.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's
I
our
wanted to
table
share
for
that.
tonight.
Throw some
But
love
yeah,
to
it's good
603
to do before we
Charcuterie.
demolish it.
We'll be having another class with them again, right?
Is this a
Yeah.
class where you get to drink and eat
And learn.
and learn
Actually, the hardest thing is that you don't get to eat a lot of it until the end.
until the end?
They pass around some samples and you get some scraps as you're sort of trimming the cheeses and things. They're
Oh.
edges that you can nibble at, but it is tough that
You got to
it's
wait.
like you need a
Is that what
board
Travis does
alongside your board.
downstairs when he's making charcuterie boards?
He nibbles the ends.
He gets the nibble the ends.
Or I do when I sneak through the kitchen.
Bob is the end nibbler.
So everybody should sign up for 2 boards. One that you can eat
Yeah,
while you're
exactly.
making the other one. You just pile it on and go.
All right.
All right,
That was,
now-
that's the commercial break. Now you should talk about the wine.
Yeah, okay. So
What was I talking about?
Honeyberry, the beginnings,
You said a long time.
the beginning,
in the beginning.
many, many moons
So it starts
ago.
with deep red.
Deep red.
really,
How about that?
Oh, that was the first honeyberry wine?
Has
Oh.
nothing to do with honeyberries.
Oh.
Deep red was made out of raspberries.
Oh,
But I found out about these incredible raspberries grown by Ben Shaba.
that was the first time you met Ben.
That's the first time that Ben was getting his raspberry. And he's got this great farm and grows without pesticides. He's just one of these sort of Zen growers, walks through and thinks about the growing relationship to the surroundings. Anyway, he grows these great raspberries, grows these fantastic strawberries in this sort of towered system, hydroponics.
Mhm.
Again, no pesticides, which is rare for strawberries because they're ripe, usually just sprayed to get all out.
But has he got him in a netted situation so he doesn't have
So he's
bugs?
got it, yeah, he's all enclosed, so he doesn't have to worry about it. And he found out about this great fruit. It's the fruit from a type of honeysuckle bush that grows in zone 1 from Siberia or something like that. And it's called a honeyberry or a hascat in Canada. And it's a dark berry, a little bit like an elongate football type of shape or a puffed rice shape.
Looks like a blueberry with a different shape.
Yeah, blueberry with a
almond
different shape. And it has sort of a very bright, tangy flavor between a blueberry and a blackberry. But none of the little seeds of a blackberry. It tastes more like a blueberry. And he said, Ken, I grow these things called honeyberries. Are you interested in those? And I said, sure. So he brought me some honeyberries and I made a small batch of wine. Big, bright tangy, bursting with flavor thing. I didn't actually realize how much sugar was in those fruit, and it was about 15% ABV. Wow. The first vintage of Honeyberry wine.
What are the bricks of a Honeyberry on the average?
I forget, I think they're, I'll have to check my notes. I think they're like 16 or something like that. Surprising.
Yeah.
Because they don't seem that sweet. It's kind
Right.
of a
Plus for a cold climate fruit.
And a cold climate.
Well, it's like kiwi though. They're cold climate. They get
And they get
mega
high.
bricks. Yeah.
They get in the 20s. So I started making this wine called Honeyberry wine, which is what we have in our glass. So this vintage,
There are a lot of
I
Honeyberry
believe,
fans
is
in the
from
audience.
2019, probably. This was the last vintage of Honeyberry.
Yeah.
No, 2018 probably.
Oh yeah, because first Northern Berry
So
was 29.
one of the things I really like the way this is mellowed out now with the age that it has. When it's young and fresh, it's much brighter,
Very tart.
and it has a bit of an aggressive bite on the back of the throat. That aggressive bite has dropped off now with the age. But typically these wines are consumed quickly, kind of like the crabapple wine or the rosé. So I started experimenting with our Honeyberry wine to see if I could come up with something that softened that bite at the back of the throat, but still left all of the unique flavors of the Honeyberry. The first year I did that, I believe, was 2020, and I made 3 separate batches with honeyberries, which then got combined into a new wine that we call Northern Berry Red, which is what's next, which is what this show is all about. I found through taking some honeyberry and taking a little bit of Petite Blue that I was able to keep all of the bright freshness of honeyberry without any of the back of the throat bite.
Oh.
Like, oh, well, that's nice. And I also thought the wine was a little thin. It had great flavors, great aromas, nice finish, but it was a little bit lacking in the mid-palate weight of the wine in my mouth. And my go-to for that is to use some honey, because honey has some unfermentable sugars that yeast can't convert to alcohol, and you end up with this richer mouthfeel, like in our Red Scare. Bone dry wine or our 3 Honey Gold it's a dry mead, but it still has some weight to it. These wines are lower gravity than water, yet they feel heavier than water in your mouth, which is what's really cool when wine does that sort of thing.
I remember actually, I think one of the coolest shows that we've ever done was it was pre-loft. It was mid-construction. We did it up here.
In the construction, I remember,
We
right
did it
over
in the
there.
Construction zone. And
Oh,
you
that's where
brought
you
up,
compared.
you brought up your different blends, and you were talking about this. You brought
I
up the
did.
current Honeyberry, and then you brought up a few of the blends, and you're saying, this is what I'm doing now, and this is what I'm thinking about doing to create
That's it. It was
other
about
wine.
2 years
It
ago.
was-
We sat right there with all this construction and stuff behind us, ladders and different things. And I had made a honeyberry
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Jesus.
3 years ago.
Yeah, so I think this is 2018.
Mhm.
And then 19 was when I
First.
messed around with those 3 that I blended to the first vintage of Northern Berry Red. And then 21, or maybe that was 20. And then 21, this vintage of Northern Berry Red is co-fermented. So I use honey, I use sugar, I use blueberries, and I use honeyberries, and I put them all together based on the ratios of which I blended those 3 separately.
So why did you need sugar? You had the honey,
Too much.
too much honey.
Too much.
Even with 16, 17 bricks of honeyberry?
Yeah, there's still a lot of honey in there because I had water. So there's
Oh,
quite a
that's
bit of
right.
water added to the berries, so that brings the ABV way down. And even the Red Scare is not 100% honey.
Right.
I use some sugar in that too. So it's really, I'm starting to really get the feel for what sugar brings and what honey brings to the wine when it's fermented. And anyway, so our next wine is our current vintage.
Before you pour that, I want to just say, well, you can pour it, but before we go on, I've been tasting the cheeses, the 2 different soft cheeses that we have on the board with this wine, and it's fantastic. It's perfect pairing.
Agreed.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah, I
doing
did.
this for a long
I
time.
did like the way that wine has softened out.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I wonder what it'll be in 5 years. Maybe we should put some of that in the library.
I think I actually have some in the library.
Oh, good.
I think I have a case.
What is it? So what's the difference between this again? This is co-fermented versus the other one was honeyberry. This is the first version of northernberry.
So this is the second version of northernberry, but the first one that was co-fermented. So everything was blended together right at the beginning, going into the fermenter. So I think it's like 20% honey relative to 80% sugar. It's about
80% sugar?
Yeah.
What do you mean 80% sugar?
Of the sugar that I add. So if I'm adding 100 pounds, 80 pounds is sugar and 20 pounds is honey.
Okay.
And the blueberries, I think it's 40%. And then the blueberries are.
That seems high just because honey's so sweet.
Yeah, but all that sweetness goes away.
No, I know. No. I mean, it just seems you've already got a lot of sugars in this. So as a percentage.
There's quite a bit of water.
Yeah, I know.
Because otherwise, well, I did make a deep honeyberry, which was pure honeyberry fermented. We sold out of that.
Now, what would have happened to deep honey? I'm always curious about
The
this.
link's not.
The what?
I'm trying to find that episode, and I found it,
Oh,
but there's
okay, cool.
a video.
Oh, there
Yeah,
is.
if we post a link to it, would be
The
great.
link isn't there. It's December 28th, 2020.
It's too cold.
Cold.
That's weird that it's not there. Yeah, no, I see.
Oh, well, if anyone
Pretty bound
can
up.
scroll back at our
Yeah, I
YouTube,
like-
it
I like
was
red wine
December
cold.
2020 that we did that show.
So,
A lot of this wine, blueberry, deep blue. I don't mind it colder. It goes well. But the nice thing is that you always have the opportunity to modify your temperature with the glasses. Right. To bring it back up.
So
Whatever it
this
is,
one
it's
too,
a
I
locked
think to
up
say
right
one
now.
note about this is that you have a small portion of this year's or this 2019 Northern Berry you put in cork bottles versus screw caps. And we found, the staff have found that it does taste a little different. I think
Wow.
it's drier. It's a little bit, we sometimes feel like it's gone.
Oh,
Off
that's
a little,
interesting. I'll
but
have to try those side by side
We
because
started to kind of be very suspicious of the cork bottles.
old cork or is this the new cork?
no, it's
It's the new cork. It just doesn't, I don't know, it's,
So I ran out of screw cap bottles in the bottling run, and I only had like 2 cases left to bottle. Everything set up, crews all there. So I grabbed some bottles that we use for our Hermitage with corks, and I switched over and I bottled those up. And so to not make it confusing in the tasting room for sales of the wine, we would sell the bulk of it in the screw cap. But for the
And you just
eatery,
do
when we're
pouring,
serving
yeah.
it out of pouring, we would do that. But you guys notice a taste difference. And I
sometimes,
haven't
yeah.
tried them side by side. That's
There's
interesting.
there's almost a bitterness to it, I think, that isn't quite as much there in the screw cap bottles.
Interesting. Well, if I ever get bottles for the next batch, they'll all be screw cap.
That's what you're waiting on now for the next. We're bottling next.
Postponed because of these
Yeah.
snowstorms.
Yeah.
Well,
It was fun for a while. We had both the honeyberry and the northern berry and had them on
Side
the
by
tasting
side.
menu at
Yeah.
the same time. And so you could taste them side by side, and it was really fun for a while. There were definitely some people that were really excited about the new one, and definitely some people that were still and are still attached to honeyberry.
This is a drier,
It's more wine.
and the bitterness comes through like you're talking
Yeah.
about because there's not as much sugar there.
Oh, try that
compared to
with
the honeyberry. That's it.
try it with that white cheese. This. Oh my God.
Manchego.
I can't believe how this is going so well with food. It's kind of like how rosé goes with everything. This is going with everything I'm putting in my mouth.
I think this is like a rosé wine because of the high acid
Yeah.
that it cuts through and goes really well with cheeses or things like that.
So help me understand, what would happen if you just added enough honeyberries to get the liquid you needed so you didn't have, and then fermented dry?
So I did that. It was called deep honeyberry.
No, but fermented dry, so it wouldn't be sweet. Or was
I did
deep,
ferment it all the way dry.
Okay.
Then I back sweetened the heck out of it because it
You
was
couldn't drink it.
just too much?
it sucked your jaws and your teeth
I
in.
remember, yeah, the deep honeyberry, it seemed
It
like
was just incredible.
what was concentrated in the deep honeyberry was more the tartness than the flavor, the sort of berry flavor.
Right.
Like to me, it tastes more like a cranberry before.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it was.
It's
Not
an
bad.
interesting fruit. It's a tricky fruit, and it keeps evolving and changing. What we have tonight to go through are 4 different versions. And we started with the Honeyberry from long ago. And
More or
again,
less the original.
we've got ages here on the wines too.
Yeah.
Coming into play. Then we're going to the 21 Northern Berry Red that we're selling right now, almost out of, and pouring out of the eatery. And then in this carafe, was taken off the tank downstairs because I'm planning to bottle it. That's the 22 Northern Berry Red. And then at the very end, I have my strange offspring of a wine where everything went wrong and it turned out really good. Or I think it turned out really good. And so I'll tell you about that when we get to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I look
That's
forward, I
gonna
look
be
forward to that.
And that's an unsweetened, completely dry version.
I'm guessing, Ken, honeyberry isn't something that we would have saved in the library because it's not meant to age.
I know, but now that this is aged out so nicely,
Yeah.
I need to set aside cases of Northern Berry
You
Red.
know, I'm starting to realize the more we do this and the longer we've been around, age is an incredible ingredient that
That's why I love old wine.
it's beautiful. It's what age does to wine is just remarkable. And I have yet to find really that many wines that don't fit that equation in some way.
Even the ones that we say drink in the next couple of years, then we end up opening an
They
old
still get-
bottle
they
that
s-
was
yeah.
pineapple, right? That we did
Yeah.
a few, you know.
Clearly, there are some that have passed, and some get too old. And yeah, I mean, there's still a point in which wines aren't going to continue to get better. But it's remarkable to me how many wines we do that actually do get better with age. And I also just love the fact that, you know, we can't add 10 years to the bottle and sell it. We can't add it. It doesn't exist. You just got to wait for it. It's just, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. I found something that doesn't go good with honeyberry wine.
Don't rush through that, but I had to jump ahead.
I found something that doesn't go good with it. Mustard. Does not go good with honeyberry wine.
So for me, as this warms up,
Maybe I'll have some
the honeyberry
blueberry
out of the
compote.
aromatics more.
Yeah, it was closed.
It was
before
very,
it was too
it was too cold. It was closed up. It was very dry, and it had a bit of a bitterness in the finish. And now that the temperatures come up, it's actually that really nice wine-like aromatics are starting to come out. And the wine it's probably not as sweet, so it has that more dry wine kind of red winey kind of thing, but it doesn't. It finishes with a sort of a bitter tannin as opposed to an oaky tannin.
Yeah, I agree.
And more so, I think there's more of a bitter finish in the Northern Berry than there was in the Honeyberry. So that would mean
It
that
may
came from
be, it
something
may
else.
be too that what Marika's talking about with these cork versions, cork finished ones, not corked, but cork finished ones, that there's something different than what the screw cap has done. The screw cap is supposed to be the same oxygen transfer as the corks. So they should behave the same way. But you guys are detecting a different flavor, so we should try that.
I wonder, is there anything different about, you know, the sort of bottom of the tank?
No.
That it was the very end of the bottling run that.
No,
changed itself?
everything was
It's all the same time.
completely blended, mixed up into the tank, prepared, and then bottled out.
I found something else that doesn't go good with honeyberry.
What's that?
I found something else that doesn't go good with
All
honeyberry,
of
Northern Berry.
I know that.
with northern berry. Blueberries, which is odd because there's
Oh,
blueberries in
that's
here.
all right.
Yeah, you think it would.
Did you try it?
That's
No, I didn't
surprising.
try it.
It was surprising. It didn't help the wine. For me, I mean, maybe someone else feels differently, but
Did you try the nuts?
no.
The
I tried the strawberry.
I'm out,
Frontier
I'm out of
for it.
samples.
I had the
You got a sample.
Fix
brie
that.
cracker, and
Only a
it
little bit,
was
because we're about to move on to the next one.
it was sort of a neutral berry.
Mm-hmm.
The manchego and the sheep cheese.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
fantastic.
this is the best one.
Oh, that's just amazing. What is this? Strawberry? Is this strawberry,
No,
Marika?
Nope, that's hot pepper.
But
Hot pepper. Oh, I wonder what that'll go like.
Temperature change, because the wine has changed completely since the time that you poured it, based on.
Matt
how
suggests
the temperature-
warm cashews.
Oh, cashews. Yeah.
Oh, the hot pepper jelly and honey, no go.
I wouldn't think
No,
so.
no.
I would not think
I think
so.
the walnuts are good because there is that little bit of bitter finish.
Yeah.
And the
And
walnuts
the
are a bit
bitterness
bitter,
comes
and
out
it
more
makes
with the
it even
walnut.
more, yeah.
So the walnuts
What
work?
there's something on our menu right now that we have paired with northern berries. That's great.
Well, these cheeses, all three of the cheeses nailed it.
Except for the blueberry, you said.
This blueberry.
Oh, the blueberry sauce,
Yeah,
not
that-
the blueberry juice.
I didn't try this went really great with the first one. I haven't tried it with this one.
Yeah.
But this sauce directly, no good at all.
No good. Probably because it's too sweet.
Maybe,
So it
yeah.
brought out the bitterness in the.
Is this cheese also a sheep cheese?
Manchego?
Not the roll.
Oh,
with
that's
the
a
lid.
goat cheese.
It's a goat cheese. Yeah.
Cranberry
Manchego
spice
is
one. I
cheese.
can't remember where that one
Oh,
comes
it's a
from.
cranberry? Or blueberry?
I think it's
I think
cranberry.
I think it's cranberry.
Well, I guess we don't have a northern berry on our menu right now.
I usually don't go for cheeses like this. But I'll give it a try.
No, what a cool thing. And so that you found a fruit that is, grown locally, that is another thing that came from Eastern Europe, like our Dogo, right? They've done
There's so many. But
you
we
seen-
are a bunch of transplants in
Yeah.
the country. Likewise with the fruit.
This Haskap plant, do you think, is it something that somebody could buy at a nursery and plant in their yard? And, because this, like, I wish,
Absolutely.
if I have a house someday, I would like a honeyberry plant because I love them so much.
Yeah.
But I
think-
hadn't heard of them until working
Absolutely.
here. And as far as I know, what's his name up at Great Northern?
Ben.
Ben, he's the honeyberry guy.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know
sells
if
the
anyone
plants.
else is
As far
growing
as I
them.
know, he sells the plants. He's got a
But-
nursery there
Oh, that's cool.
and sells a wide variety of plants.
Because I know there are a few other craft beverage makers in New Hampshire also using honeyberries, and I'm pretty sure they get them from the same place.
Yeah.
I
We
know.
compete for them.
Oh, I bet. So I know up
And
at
he's been giving us.
Sap House makes a wonderful honeyberry mead,
Mhm.
and then Tamworth Distilling has a mountain berry cordial, they call it. That's a blend of lots of different things,
Wow.
but includes some honeyberries. And
Yep.
it's very lovely. I have a
That's
lot
Well,
of it at home right
And
now.
I would say too, if these great products are not enough inspiration for you to go check out this farm, let me just tell you, it's a great farm with all kinds of wonderful things to purchase. He has plants that you can buy plants.
Mhm.
You can buy fresh fruit. You can buy all. You can. I think, does he still carry our wine? He carried our wine for a while. I don't know if
Yeah, I don't know if he's doing that still.
he had his
Wayside
liquor
Farm, does
license.
that sound right?
Wayside? No.
Wayside Great Northern Berries,
It's in-
Wayside Farm,
yeah,
North
it's in
Sandwich,
Ch-
New Hampshire. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's going to be a link in the comments for you all.
Great.
Check them out.
Great.
It's worth visiting. First, it's in one of the most beautiful parts of New Hampshire, right? Nestled under the
Right up Route 113.
Wanalancet area.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
beautiful,
Such a great
beautiful
route.
area. Yeah.
Beautiful area.
Irish blueberries, aronia.
Aronia.
You get those from him too, yeah?
Aronia berries? I
That's
don't think
the
so.
sort of-
Yes.
Elderberries and the
In
best assortment of
our,
honeyberries.
in
on
our
these?
current melange is a bunch of aronia berries.
He does elderberries too?
He does elderberries?
That's what he says.
Oh, I got to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's been holding out.
I'm still bringing elderberries from Arkansas.
Yes.
Organic, certified organic. It's our one certified organic fruit right now are the elderberries we get from Arkansas.
And this, just to so you know, I mean, it's not, this guy is a small farmer. You can Google his farm and see the patch of elderberries that he's growing for us, because I've done that. And he personally, the owner of the farm, rents a refrigerated trailer and drives his elderberries to us
Yeah,
personally every year. Of course, he has other stops along the way because he sells his elderberries to a few different places. But I think this is amazing. He's really cool. Yeah.
Bob is his name.
Is it Bob? Well, that's
Bob. Yep, elderberry
cheers to
Bob.
that. He's Bob.
Oh, okay.
So this is the new one. Wow. It's gonna be
With
coming
the,
out.
it's nice with the tan and berry.
I
And
really,
this is-
I
this
really
is
like
just-
the way
this
this
is-
wow.
has got a really smooth, integrated character to it.
It tastes sweeter.
I did it side by side with the Screw Cap 21 Northern Berry Red.
both Ben and I did independently, and we both converged on the same sugar level.
I think it tastes sweeter, but I also do, I think that it is the cork bottles of Northern Berry don't taste quite as sweet as the
Wow.
cat. But I think this still tastes sweeter, which I don't mind. I like having a sweeter wine.
Yeah, I think it fits with the fruit for me.
I'm not sure though if it's sweeter or just less tart.
Well,
Oh,
I don't
it's
think it's
possible.
sweeter.
It's-
There's a
it's
couple things that went
softer.
into this that make it less tart.
Right, which is why the sugar's coming through a little
Sugar
more.
level is actually a lot lower than the 21.
Oh, really? So yeah,
Even
tell
though
us
it
what's
seems
different.
sweeter.
What's different about the blend?
This one, I put 2/3 of it into barrel. And it went through malolactic.
Oh, that's where the softness
It's
comes
the
from.
softness.
And that's what the soft.
That's what
Wow.
that's what makes it feel.
Yeah.
It's a mouthfeel.
So that's a
change
whole
the
new
viscosity,
thing. And then
yeah.
my new batch,
viscosity is
23, I'm
completely
going to put
different.
it all into barrel.
Yeah.
That is-
And it really, it changes. It's crazy. Remember?
We're gonna need more barrels.
Yeah, I do. This year, actually, gonna get some barrels. Wow. I was away somewhere, and you were helping me with barrels, Bob. And at one point, you said there's stuff coming out of the top, or it got
Yeah.
ugly, or whatever it was. And so we talked, and you put some bungs in it, and then the barrels were leaking out the sides. They were
Right.
leaking a lot. That was this stuff. And it was blowing out the seams because it was going through malolactic and it needed to get the gas off.
Oh, and you didn't have
Pushing
a,
the wine out the
oh, wow.
staves.
Oh, no. So they had a bug in it. They didn't have a bubbler in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Oh wow. So
But
This
I
is
really
so
like
good.
this vintage, yeah.
So
This-
good.
this
It's
is-
so good.
No.
It has more, not only is the total, to me, the total balance coming together really nicely, being true to the fruit, you don't detect honey, you don't detect blueberries. It's a whole thing with lots of unique flavors, but it also has sort of a softness to it,
Right.
finesse. That's what it's like that Sauterne we had. There's that next level where things are pretty much the same. You get to that 90%, but getting to that 95th percent is really, really hard. And that's sort of my frontier now. That's where I see I still have stuff that I'm down on the 70%, trying to figure out how to put it together. But I'm trying to move into that more sublime arena.
it tastes even more
This is amazing.
like a wine, but a sweeter red.
Mhm.
Whereas I think the current Northern Berry, often tell people, it looks like a red, but it drinks more like a rosé. That's what I tell people. We serve it cold. It's bright. It's fresh. It doesn't drink like a red wine to me. This, I think, does drink like a red wine, a sweeter red, a tart, juicy
A sweet
red.
red, right.
But it's exciting to have that sort of thing in our wheelhouse of wines for offering.
Well, there's definitely an audience for that.
Oh, yeah.
A slightly sweeter. I mean,
I'm actually finding, for me, I still can't do really sweet whites, but I really love like very, very sweet, juicy reds. Like the, I don't know what you would call them. They often are just blends, but
I'd call them somebody else's wine in most
Yeah.
cases.
Now you got a
but I love them,
Two-fisted.
especially like with pizza or your, I don't know, summer thing. Or this to me is just a summer barbecue. Actually, is great with Northern Berry.
Why are we two-fisting? What's the deal?
Oh, I don't.
Now you got to.
I like
The other
both
thing I
of these
think-
Northern
What I
Berry
think
reds
is
and
fun
Denmark.
with Northern Berry, I
As
don't
they
know
get
if
to a
that's
certain
gonna,
temperature, a room temperature,
what are we doing?
the aromatics
Don't
come
know.
out, that brings out what I really like about the honeyberry in the first one. The aromatics get locked up until it gets to about room temperature.
Yeah, it does need, I think, I don't think we shouldn't serve these too cold at the tasting bar. We should warm them up a little bit.
I tell people too, I don't know if Ken would approve of this, I hope so, but
You're going to know in a minute.
Northern Berry is one that on its own is wonderful, but you can go two directions with the Northern Berry. I've made it into a spritzer at home. I think it does really well.
Well,
with
it's
some
like a
seltzer.
sangria on its own.
Well, it's such
Yeah.
a
way.
So fruity,
full, like it's a very tart, juicy wine. So you
Yeah.
can lighten it up, and there's still plenty of flavor if you add a bunch of seltzer to it. Or I think you can go the other direction and it's already basically sangria, but you could add something hard to it. You could add some extra fruit and some extra juice, and you could make this into a really, really good
I
sangria.
think it's, akin to Campari or Aperol, so that you can make a spritz.
It's a good,
So in
it's
Italy,
a
you
cocktail wine.
take Prosecco,
Yeah.
take
Yes.
Prosecco, some ice,
Northern
and
Berry Red.
the Northern Berry Red,
Yeah.
and throw those together.
Yeah.
We should
Oh,
serve
yeah.
those this summer.
Wine
on the
cocktails.
deck.
Yeah, actually, that would be really
We
good.
gotta,
Yep.
We talked about this last summer. We wanted to do this, and we didn't kind of get the system in place for summer. But I think this is one we can do, like wine cocktails. Like we talked about, spring in session with some Aperol or Northern Berry
Yeah.
with Prosecco or something like that.
there are just so many options.
Yeah, it's a cocktail sort of wine, which is interesting. And Lynn asks, has anyone mulled this? And we've done mulled Northern Berry. We did it last year when we did an episode on mulled wine.
Mhm.
And one of the ones we did was Northern Berry, which I think we didn't think would be very good, but it was. I don't think we made any batches of it this year, but when we tested it last year, it actually was surprisingly good.
This is a different wine. We need a new show.
Yeah.
We need it. We've
That's-
just turned the corner.
That's Northern Berry Red.
Did
Isn't that crazy?
Did I say this like really smells like wine? This is like a wine.
This is totally, look at the color of
It's very European,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
that's so
very
it. Look at the color.
Southern
We have to be
French.
careful. I promised Steve that we wouldn't finish this bottle.
We won't. I have a
Okay.
case in
Oh,
the
okay.
warehouse.
Okay. I
Don't
promised
worry.
Steve we would get
Don't
to
worry.
taste this
You
one.
have plenty.
This one, I know.
of this
I know
one.
Gary's in our audience, so our 2-bottle-a-month club got this at some point late
Yes,
summer.
we did. We did the two side by side.
Mhm.
So we did the 21 Northern Berry Red and the 21 Northern Berry Red oxidized.
Hmm.
So this was a total screw up.
Thank you.
Wow.
Turned out great. I couldn't believe it.
But this isn't available on the shelves.
No, it's not. It's unlabeled. We got a case or two hiding away in the library. We put a Northern Berry label on it for the whatever we did. Yeah, we put it out there, and well, we didn't, and
It's just
That's
a
it.
different batch of Northern Berry. It's like it tastes like Hermitage or something. I remember when we gave it
so
to Gary, he was all
I
excited.
thought it was
'cause-
Hermitage.
Yeah.
yeah.
When I was going
don't-
around, I was checking this one little tank because I had the main batch of 21 Northern Berry Red in a big tank, but it all didn't fit in that big tank, and I had a little tank that had the residual. Tall, skinny, 200-liter tank with a floating lid.
Is this the one that had trouble, that I had trouble with?
Every couple of weeks, the damn floating lid would be loose. You pump it back up, hope the wine's okay.
I hate those floating lids.
I hate that. It's our daily protocol. Every morning, we go through and check every single floating lid.
I find myself doing it just when I walk through the winery.
Yeah, it's good. Ben's flawless so far. Anyway, I was okay. I got to get ready. I'm going to process the final batch up into the tank to get ready for bottling. I'm going to go check my problem child over here and see if I'm going to blend that in. I go over and sample the tank, and I'm like, no, that's not the same one. Something's wrong. Go back to the computer, look back through my notes. No, that's the tank it's supposed to be in. Sample other tanks that are similar to it. Well, that's got to be it. Somehow, this is what Northern Berry Red turns into if it gets properly oxidized. So I tried to do that this year and I couldn't do it. I tried to expose it a little bit and it just stayed the same.
So much elderberry
So I don't know how to,
flavor in it. It's just, it's,
I don't know how to make it again.
yeah, it's just a
I'm gonna
one-off
figure it
flavor.
out, but I'm
You know,
not sure how.
that the more we do this and the more we talk about this, my head's always going around these ideas that it is so infinite. The possibilities are infinite. You know, and honestly, you think about this, we've been making wine from grapes for thousands of years, right? But at some point in history, somebody was figuring this out with grapes. Somebody tried grapes and he came out with it. Oh, this is okay. This is good. Oh, well, this is a little better. And then over the years, gradually, people started to come up with more interesting ways to present grapes. And grapes were no different than your honeyberries or your blueberries or any other fruit.
Yeah.
So that we worked with the fruit long enough, and we developed strategies to figure out how to increase its probability of being a successful product or wine or enjoyable. And now it reminds me of, I read The History of Wine, and there was a great book. If you haven't read The History of Wine,
There's a book. That's gotta be it.
no,
The history of wine?
no, I don't remember that. I'll get the name of it. I'll share it. It's a worthy read. It is something about the history of the wine or something like that.
Hughes or,
But
I've read the book.
It's
I know which one it is.
it's so, yeah. Well, but it's great read. And what it taught me was that really, most of the wine people drank throughout the millennial
Which
it was just horrible. It was just horrible. Wine was
Better than
mostly
water.
horrible. And certainly,
safer than water.
yeah.
Yeah,
Make it
safer
safe.
than water. Maybe not better.
And clearly the wealthiest of the wealthy, had the advantage of getting the best of the best because they drank it freshest and but we didn't know how to store wine. We didn't know how to age wine. We didn't know how to do anything with it. And if you got any good wine that was, that far from harvest, you were just darn lucky. And if you didn't care because it had alcohol in it and it was better than water.
Right.
But through the majority of the last 2,000 years, most wine was just not that good. And it's only just now that we've sort of mastered all of the
Everything's getting
characteristics.
turned upside down. I mean, when we first got into making wine, I sort of figured that California, France, Spain, they had this all figured out. They've been doing this for centuries. Crushing grapes, fermenting grapes, aging grapes, bottling grapes. You would think that, okay, they got this figured out. Wine is wine, and that's that.
Right.
And it's being reinvented all the time.
Right.
Every time we go to a different place, people are trying new things. They're experimenting in different ways. They're making it better every time.
Well, and as I've learned from discovering wines from around the world, wines aren't necessarily what I thought wine was when I was drinking California wine all the time.
Oh yeah.
There's all these amazing wines from all over the place that bring other,
Switzerland.
even Switzerland, yes. So it's really amazing. And I feel like, if I could just imagine myself transporting myself 100 years or 200 years into the future, that there's going to be these really fine wine shops all over the world that are going to be serving Petit Bleu. And people are going to be talking about it like it's this amazing thing. It's really going to happen. I know this is going to happen. We won't be here to know it or see it, but that's what's going on right now. Is that you are at the forefront of developing this new.
Well, I don't know about that. Thank you, but I don't.
I do. I know about it.
Yeah, I
You
know
can.
too.
Yeah.
Gotta be some
No.
people who are-
No. This is absolutely what's happening right now.
The bow wave of the wine revolution is happening right here, right now, and it's his fault.
Yeah, and it's
So-
going to take years. I mean, you guys consider yourself lucky. You're at the beginning.
50 or whatever. It's
But-
his fault.
The younger of you who are out there, you are in for a great surprise because in 50 years, you're going to get to have watched this evolution. You're going to get to have watched this style or these styles of wine that Ken's creating
So much fun. There's so
evolve
much
into
fun.
something.
Revolution.
Yes,
The revolution.
The revolution.
That's right.
Yes. How about
Wait
this?
till we see Marika on the
I was
website.
gonna say,
I know she's one of them.
I know.
You see, we'll be dead. She'll be running the place.
I know.
And telling the stories of the oddball founders that call themselves hermits.
oh, back in my day, I knew the hermits.
There you go.
were
That's
originally-
right. You'll be our age. Talking about it.
You can go to the archives on the.
There'll be a grave. There'll be we should create a special
Isn't this pretty-
cemetery with the three of us.
Pretty damn
You
cool
should,
for a wine.
well, investigate the land. Who
Have
owns
a
the
local
land?
food.
Who
Doesn't this
owns
taste
the
like-
land where the hermit
like
is
red
buried?
wine?
The town of Meredith.
Yeah.
So can you
Get buried
petition the town of
That's an
Meredith
interesting concept,
to expand
actually.
that cemetery to include the hermit? The hermit. The hermit's
That's
Yeah, I wonder-
sacrilegious in some way.
Yeah, probably not okay. So imagine in 100 years from now, somebody walks in to a wine establishment and says, "Oh, you have grapes in your wine?" I don't drink grape.
It'll happen. I bet it'll happen.
Oh, you make it out of grape?
No. Well, wait a minute. You're, 50 years. Let's go 50 years because Marika will be here still.
That's right.
So 100 years, you might not be. But 50 years,
I hope so.
the odds are good that you're going to be here overseeing this
No, the
this
technology
craziness.
is probably going to change in the next 50 years to be able to just.
So she'll be 150?
Forever. Oh,
That's
yeah,
true.
that's true. Right.
I have a goal. I think one
Or
of
it
the
could go the
most-
other way.
One of the
We don't
most
wanna go there, though.
patriotic things in my heart. I don't know. I consider myself like vaguely patriotic, but not aggressively so. But one of the only like patriotic feelings I have in my heart is that I want to live to be at least, I think it's 84, to be at the country's like 300th anniversary.
Well, actually,
2076.
I got to be at the 200th anniversary.
In 2076?
And it was in
I think that's
1976.
84 for me.
I was on a boat in the Boston Harbor
Bicentennial.
for the bicentennial.
That's a pretty.
That was a
cool-
pretty special moment.
pretty
was
special
it.
moment, and I
Yeah,
think
that was like-
so that's my like life.
I was only like
right now
10 or something.
to be able to live to at least that date to
Yeah.
see that. So
Did you
that's
see the
pretty
Freedom Train? Did it go through Rhode Island? Were you in Rhode Island?
So
No.
you were 12.
Yeah, so I mean, the Freedom Train went up, I don't know, I thought it went around the country, but you were allowed to smush pennies on the railroad track as this Freedom Train went by.
I did not see that.
And the U.S. coinage
I did
came out with
that. I mean, we went-
bicentennial.
Do you have
Yeah,
a squished
coins.
coin?
No. My whole childhood was lost. It was in my safe that I had in my room, and then we moved, and then
Your safe
it went
got
out. The
lost?
safe, no, the safe got sold in a yard sale, and it had one of those pennies in it.
I have a part of my childhood was lost too. A similar story. All of us probably have that story.
Well, if you got my
In fact,
safe,
yeah, you
the
feel like you have those
combination, which
keepsakes that
it was like
you think you'll have forever,
EJC right,
just
left,
something
right.
happens.
If you find the coin, you do have it in your.
It's out there on the internet. It might happen. This is amazing, Ken. This wine is really
Dude,
good.
that's really cool.
I'm so
I'm
excited for
just
this.
so.
You got to. Well, he's got to figure out how to make it
I
again.
got to figure out how to do this again.
I don't think you'll ever.
So actually, so my question is, I'm so excited for both of these. So I do love that bottle of oxidized stuff is fantastic. But the
Just so
bottle
you
of
know,
what
that
you're
has to go home. So
No,
that
it's
Steve
okay.
can
You
try
can-
it.
you replace it if
sorry,
not.
Steve.
that's okay.
No.
So but the
You guys
new
can
batch.
have
Is Steve watching us to make sure?
I update him on.
Don't worry, Steve, you get 2 for the 1. So you're all set.
So about how much do we have of the current vintage? Like how long will it be until what you're bottling
We
Thursday gets on the shelves?
will be bottling 142 cases. As soon as we get the empty bottles. That's the volume that we have.
But how much do we have of the current vintage? Like is it going to be
Well,
several
current
months?
vintage,
We've
we
got
have
lots of
8 cases left there.
Oh, that's not that much. So this
10
might be on the
cases left.
shelves in the next couple months.
Yeah,
Probably.
a couple months.
It'll be a little bit, but not too long.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
This is so good.
It's still, I'm so amazed, that we're recording this and documenting this because I've actually been going and looking back at some of the video. We've been doing this for 3 years almost at this point.
Wow.
And
Feels like it.
yeah,
Running out of stuff to talk about.
No. But
Clearly.
What I
Yeah.
found actually, so
No, we have
I
so
worry
many
about that
ideas. We go around
sometimes-
texting ideas. Most of them just get jettisoned or put aside or, we'll deal with that later. And something new floats to the top.
well, this conversation, in my eyes, as long as the four of us are engaged, will go on forever, infinitely. I mean, there's so many nuance. There's so many things that we don't, we have left to discover about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I learned things tonight that I didn't know. I'm learning as I go. So with the audience, we're learning about how things.
I've learned now that Honeyberry was fine. I didn't need to change it at all. I just needed to age it for 3 years before I sold it.
Well, it's
No, I know. I
Interesting
think
too,
this is
because
better.
we-
I
But
do like this new
it
vintage.
It just can't be called. This is just ginormously awesome, as it sat.
And then I
there
gotta figure
and
out how to
it's
do
opened- it's
that.
opened up. You'll never do that again.
well, we've also what I think
No, but
happens is
he'll do better than that.
Yeah, you do something.
Give him a couple of years, he'll do better than that.
we sometimes
No
also-
pressure.
I
We
think
do a
I'm going to
topic.
put up a barrel and not going to top it. And then just sample it.
Speaking of barrels, I just, not to interrupt, you can have the floor next, but I just wanted to tell you, there was a tour coming through the winery on Saturday. It was
I
a-
know you forgot to turn the humidifier back
I didn't turn, oh, I didn't I? Sorry.
Sorry.
You had to bring that up now, didn't
on. I
you?
did, didn't I?
Thank
Sorry.
you. Cheers.
Sorry.
So it's a great group. I put my phone on the other
I know,
thing,
thank
so I'd
goodness.
remember to turn that back on.
That was more important than
I
me.
know. Anyway,
Sorry, go ahead.
great group of ladies. They were coming through the winery.
Wonderful.
They were
Yeah.
really wonderful. I loved the tour. It was one of my most enjoyable tours in a long time. And now I forgot why I was telling you this story. Because you,
All right,
you
back to you.
derailed me.
You got the floor.
No,
Go.
oh, so
Don't
I,
remember.
yeah,
think.
so wait, you guys think on that. I have something to say. So.
See what happens when you drink?
First off,
Wow.
this keg is at this temperature, having been sitting out here, sitting
Is
with
that the
him.
22?
Oh my freaking Lord, that's good. But when it was cooler, it was still bound up.
Closed. Yeah.
Now it's like, just like the.
I think as
the
I
other one.
soften the wine, the warmth does it better.
Yeah, no,
When
I
it was
understand.
more
I'm-
aggressive,
It's just
the
the
coolness did it
aromatics.
better.
But the other thing I was thinking is that how cool is it if you have club members that got these two wines and then we have a show and they get to sit there and open the wines with us and we can have a conversation online. I mean, I love that format. I mean, you can connect with people because I mean, club members like this conversation.
Oh, so we have a new thing that's going out in the 2-bottle club. I'm sure there's some people out there in the 2-bottle club. We did a show a few weeks ago on 2 bottles that were really cool side by side. And now that's going out in the 2-bottle club with a link
to that.
to the previous
Yeah.
video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
not
well,
yet.
that's
Wait, Bob,
the goal.
you say cool. This is on your to-do list.
You can make
It's
this
getting
happen.
there. We're getting there.
They're all boxed up and
But-
ready, but it's missing the QR code.
Ooh.
Oh, that's easy. We'll fix that. I didn't even know I was
Or
supposed to
just a
do that.
link. You
Did
can-
you-
we didn't.
did I know I was supposed to do that?
Maybe not. We talked.
Nobody
about
told me.
It
We
was one
didn't
of those
say,
things that
Bob, you
spun
need
off.
to do this. We just talked about
I
it.
had too many texts in a row.
How do we engage the
So-
club members so when we do our show on the club
I'm done.
members,
I'm just going to drink.
which
it.
is what we
Wait,
do.
I remembered the story, but I'll let you finish.
Okay, yeah,
I thought
so,
Marika was talking.
but I mean, I'll throw this out there to those of you watching. I mean, is that something that's interesting or is it just completely uninteresting to engage in a conversation as we open the next club to have an effort to try to get as many club members to watch the show?
We did. We have on the past couple of releases, when we give out our club release, we hand out a little card that says, "Join us next week for a Facebook
watch the
Live
show."
broadcast
Oh, great.
tasting
Oh, yeah.
these wines."
Oh, that's
So
Excellent.
we'll plan on doing that again with the spring release, and we are also planning on filming a video of a tasting,
Oh, yes.
That's a great
Oh.
idea. I like that.
a brief sort of tasting video that you can do.
We're going to get behind the bar together again?
Yep.
Well, that's going to be fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. All
So
But what
I remembered before you
Oh,
go,
that-
I need to, because I'll forget again.
Are you going to do this again?
No, I already remembered.
Don't forget. again.
Don't push the envelope here because I could forget. These ladies were touring and they were talking about the barrels and they were asking lots of great questions about the changes that occur inside the barrel. And they asked, do barrels change over time as you use them? And it gave me a great opportunity to turn them around and look at the barrel that your dad gave you. And I said, are you kidding? These barrels evolve in all kinds of ways. Look at this barrel here. And they were so thrilled. They were just
That's all the blues.
to watch all the blue stickies.
That barrel is really great.
That's
I've
a
never
great
even known
barrel.
The story behind it. I've been telling people about it if I take people downstairs.
Yeah.
Picture that.
Yeah, we should.
Remember
We
in your
will.
basement in the old winery?
Yeah.
We stuck
All the
blue
stickers were on the
stickers
wall.
Right on the wall
Yeah.
next to the sink.
So there's
Because I
for the
would pull out the
context for
cardboard
those of you
sticker and
listening.
just stick it on the wall.
There is
Yeah, you have a
one.
picture of
It's
that.
a smaller barrel,
20-gallon barrel.
20-gallon barrel that's down in our
So
cellar
his,
right
your
now
dad
that
gave you,
is
Yep, our dad-
like,
wallpapered with blue tape, and that barrel was given to Ken by his dad back what year?
2009, 10.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And there's a piece of blue tape on there for every single thing that's been in that barrel over the past 15
And it's
years.
plastered with
first
them.
photo- the
I have a
photo-
picture of it, actually. I could
photo
share a
from
picture.
the garage was in there. The BEC from 2012.
Oh, yeah.
was in there.
That's pretty cool.
I'll share a
It's
picture
my
right now. You
favorite
can
barrel.
send it out
It's
there.
my favorite
I
barrel.
can't post pictures, so.
Oh.
So, we have a new wine coming out of that barrel? This brings us full circle to Honeyberry. This is perfect.
Good.
Sorry,
Make
we're
it
gonna
quick
get-
because we have 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Popcorn.
1 minute. Do I really have 1 minute?
No.
Just,
No.
Yeah.
just shut up.
You're right.
No, I didn't.
Guillotine. Guillotine.
So,
if you go over it.
guillotine,
Guillotine.
in
Yes.
French.
Allez, guillotine. yes.
Here we are.
Do we have more than a minute? Are you going to stay with us?
Yeah.
Good?
And we'll move on to the next show.
So, back in 2019, Ben Chaba, who I get these Honeyberry,
splash of something.
Had a crop.
Whatever we got.
Oh, we can't have that.
That's
No,
going
we
on
can't.
this
It doesn't
week.
matter.
Steve's gonna be upset.
There we go.
Oh.
If he sees you drinking. Sure.
I like getting strawberries from him. And I had this idea back in 2019 that I would make a deep strawberry. I'd made a deep red, I'd made a deep blue. I was going to make a deeper red, I called it. And so I got his strawberries.
That's coming out.
So it's coming out in a weird format too. So this got a bit of a story, but this is a new wine that's coming out.
Every bottle has a story in it
Every bottle has a story.
because there's a story in every
So,
bottle.
Deeper red was this, again, pretty expensive little experiment. It just took these sprayless grown strawberries from up the road, half of which were fermented with dextrose, half of which were fermented with honey. 2 carboys. Each carboy costs like $250 to make. And they turned out great, fresh, intense strawberry. Just kind of like the deep red is just raspberry. Well, this was strawberry, with the honey one being a little more complex and interesting than the non-honey one. And fermentation is going on, stuff is being created, and these carboys are sitting there on my rack with other stuff happening. New things are being created, different things going on. I got to do something with those. Then life goes on, and things go on. 2020 happens, COVID happens, we're doing all this stuff. Those carboys are still sitting there. They're turning orange through time as they get oxidized. I got to deal with those. I'm going through different winemakers. I'm doing different things, creating stuff. I got to deal with these. So 2021, 2 years ago now, I finally pull a sample, see what's going on. And they taste like sherry. Totally like sherry. Like this great, incredible, nutty, almondy, hazelnut sherry stuff. I'm like, wow, it's really cool.
Have I tasted this?
No, wait till you do that.
We're gonna have to do a show on
But you're holding back on us, Chick Ken.
No, I'm just,
Well, there are
I'm
2
just
whole
telling you,
carboys.
they're coming. No, it's
Finish up,
been
finish up.
expanded.
Tell us about it. We're running out.
So
We're
it's
out
been
of time. We're over time.
expanded. So it's been expanded.
All right, we got to hurry because we're out of time.
So this is a new wine that's coming out called Deep Berry.
Deep Berry, stay tuned.
Deep Berry.
Deep
Deep Berry,
Coming out.
ETA
There'll
soon.
be 16 cases. I hope to bottle
This
it
summer.
tomorrow.
So
Well, we got labels, so it'll be a few
Labels
months.
are being ordered,
Late spring, early summer.
late.
so it's coming out. Anyway, I took those sherry-like strawberry things, and I had done an experiment with the 2021 Red Scare, where I messed with the amount of black raspberries I was putting in the formula to see if I was where I wanted to be on the flavor. And I had saved a couple carboys of my slightly less black raspberry and slightly more black raspberry. This is when I made the blackberry mead, also
Oh, yeah.
2021,
Love the blackberry mead.
which is really aging nicely too. I know I'm going on here, and the time is, the ticker is going, but you
Lynn says
told me
they're
I
not out
wasn't
of
just
time.
set to the
They're
minute.
fine.
So anyway, I wanted to deal with this sherry, but on its own, this deep strawberry stuff, but on its own, it was lacking a little something. So I did some bench trials, and these black raspberry blueberry blends that I had seemed to really liven it up. It was really cool. So I took and had 2 carboys of the strawberry, 2 carboys of the black raspberry things, and I had my favorite little 20-gallon barrel that we were just talking about. So I did some bench trials, and lo and behold, both of those carboys and both of those carboys go beautifully together, and they would fill that barrel.
Fill the barrel.
So in they go to the barrel. It's been in the barrel for the last year, and finally figured out the last blend and nuance to it, and it's all blended up, and it's going to get bottled.
So
They're called
strawberry,
what?
black raspberry, blueberry, and honey. Am I missing?
So
Raspberry too?
it's
It's some raspberry.
strawberries, blueberries, black raspberries, and honey.
And it's going to be
Sugar.
called what?
And we
Deep
decided
berry.
that my 1921 sherry was unacceptable because it's obviously not.
It's
really
not
true
unacceptable,
sherry.
it's just illegal.
Illegal. So we called it, we did this over a Zoom call, the 3 of us.
Yeah, we had a
and we
great
came
Zoom
up with
call
Deep
last week.
Berry.
Yeah.
Deep Berry,
Deep Berry.
coming out soon.
I can't wait for that.
And with that, we are going to say goodnight. It
I don't
is
get to talk about Ozark?
no more.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Next time. Cheers, everybody.
Next time.
Thank you.
We will
all
see you
for
next
joining
Monday.
us.
We'll surprise you with what we'll be talking about.
Something great.
Something great. And have a good
stay
week,
tuned.
and look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
These hours are so short.
I know they're getting shorter every year,
And
every
Kenpai.
week.
But yeah, always
Kenpai,
like,
that's
subscribe,
Japanese for
share the
cheers.
video.
Kenpai.
Kenpai.
And delve back in the
Kenpai.
library. There's a link on our website there's a page on our website for all the history of all the
Yes,
videos.
go
They're all
visit
posted
that.
on there.
Oh, good.
It's
So
all there.
Excellent.
cheers all. See you next week.
That's a good show.
Isn't this stuff